Hey, you're listening to A Chat with Heart. I'm your host, Christina Martin. I'm a singer-songwriter, curious human. I live on a dirt road in rural Nova Scotia with my partner in crime, Dale, and our calico cat, Olivia. This podcast is basically just me chatting with people I admire. I like to ask questions that feed my curiosity, and my guests have all taught me something. They either crack me up or they punch me right in the feels. If you've got questions, comments, or a burning desire to join the conversation, please call my Heartbeat hotline, day or night. It's 1-902-669-4769. You can also email me at christinamartinmusic@gmail.com. And if you want to throw a little love my way and help keep this thing going, visit my Patreon page. That's how artists like me get paid. Thanks for showing up. Warning, heartfelt content ahead. If we just talk about it, we could shine a light, we could break a dark day. If we just talk about it, we can cut away, we can make a brighter day. Hey folks, welcome back to A Chat with Heart. I'm a little frustrated. I'll tell you why. I am reminded every time our home insurance goes up by a lot. It's like doubled in the last year, and now it's increased by another, like, I think 50%. And we're just like, wow, we can't afford this. And one of the reasons is because we're forced into this comprehensive plan that we can't afford because we have a house that was built over 100 years ago. So it's really hard to find an insurance company that'll cover us. And then, of course, the brokers want to make money. So they're not exactly giving you all the options up front. Really have to fight for this. Anyway, that's where my headspace is today. I'm frustrated, but there's also a lot of really awesome things I'm grateful for. I went to an osteopath today for the first time, Tyler, in Amherst, Nova Scotia. Thank you, Tyler. Tyler Skinner, I believe his name is. It better be Skinner. Let me just check on that while I'm... so I don't steer you in the wrong direction. Tyler Skinner, osteopath. I don't know how to spell osteopath. Amherst, Nova Scotia. And yes, I got it right. Mr. Tyler M. Skinner. It was a really cool experience. Totally relaxing, very gentle. And I highly recommend. And just getting packed up. Dale and I are going to Austin, Texas. It's our first time going together. It's a place I like to go to get back in touch with the creative source. That sounds so woo-woo, but it's true. So that's coming up really fast. And otherwise, it's just really beautiful here at home in Port Howe, Nova Scotia. And I'm grateful to be talking to you and for you to be here listening. I'm also buzzing to welcome a guest whose work invites us to reimagine the boundaries of sound, story, and stage. Aaron Collier is a force in Canadian live art. He's a sound designer, a musician, a performer, and co-founder of the genre-bending, queerly playful performance company Heist, based in Nova Scotia. If you've seen The Princess Show, New Waterford Boy, or Frequencies, you've experienced Aaron's work. Sonically rich, emotionally deep, and full of wonder. He scored powerful theater like Casey and Diana, which I had the privilege of seeing with my mom at Neptune Theater in Halifax a few weeks back. And through projects like Frequencies, he's made music that feels like it's echoing from the cosmos and also from a deeply personal, internal place. I welcome Aaron as a longtime admirer of his, my friend. I welcome him to the podcast. And at the end of this episode, we will play a remix that Aaron did of my song, Take Me Back in a Dream. But first, a word from our new sponsor, Realitol. Are you tired of friends who respond to your genuine problems with just be positive? Sick of colleagues who insist good vibes only while your world crumbles? Introducing Realitol, the first FDA-approved treatment for chronic toxic positivity. Realitol works by activating your brain's authenticity receptors, allowing you to respond to Josie from accounting's "everything happens for a reason" with the eye roll it deserves. Just one dose of Realitol and you'll be able to say, actually, today does suck without guilt, delete inspirational quote accounts without feeling bad, and respond to just choose happiness with just choose silence. Side effects may include sudden bursts of honesty, decreased Facebook usage, losing friends who only want the highlight reel of your life, and finding people who appreciate the real you. Realitol is not for everyone. Do not take Realitol if you have a history of being the good vibes only person in your friend group. Realitol may cause severe allergic reactions in life coaches and Instagram influencers. Realitol, because sometimes life is just a dumpster fire and that's okay. Realitol, available wherever realistic expectations are sold. I want to introduce you to someone.
Oh my God, who are you? You're so small and gorgeous.
She is gorgeous. She's this is Olivia. She can't hear you, but hi.
Oh, she's really pretty.
Aaron, I love Dale, but I don't know if I've ever been so in love as I am with Olivia.
I can relate on a bbig level. I have such a relationship with my cat.
We are recording. This might be public, so just let you know if Richie's listening. He may want to tune out for a bit while we talk about how much you love your cat more than him. We are a pet-friendly podcast, so pets are welcome, meows are welcome, and for anybody curious, I have shown Aaron. Not that we're not using video, but I do want to talk a little bit about Olivia. She's a muted calico, and she's 8 months old now. And I have shown Aaron the cat. She's surrounded by. I've wrapped her in my sweater that has hearts on it. I don't know if you can see that because we're on a Chat with Heart podcast. Welcome, Aaron Collier.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, Aaron.
Christina.
You know what I want to start with? I think probably lightning rounds usually happen at the end of a podcast chat, but I wanted to start with one.
Okay. I'm ready.
Oh, don't get anxious. Are you freaking out? Oh, yeah, that was delightful. Actually.
Yeah, I can have this ready to go at any time.
Okay, you could be the soundtrack to our episode today, and I'm excited with that. That would be a first time. Okay, you ready for... Okay, let's do a little intro music then for a Chat with Heart podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the lightning round. What about a little darker?
Oh, the light? Oh, so we're still going yeah.
It could be... Yeah, because it could go that way. Like, it could be dark.
All right.
Okay, you ready? Also, I realize I've called this a lightning round, but take your time, right? Who cares? We don't need to rush this. I don't like stress. All right, okay. Aaron, synths or silence? Do you know what I mean?
No. Did you say, what was the first word?
Synths. I realized I did.
Synths.
Synths or silence, if you could only pick one or the other. Synths or silence?
Silence.
Yeah, I'm with you. Feel free to elaborate, but you don't have to. Although I will ask you, a lot of people I know work with podcasts and videos in the background and they're working on other things and they have to, are you that kind of person?
No, I, partially because I'm a sound designer. So no, I can't listen to anything else.
Yeah.
But then in Videoland, I've tried it, and no, I just need whatever I'm working on, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Distracting. It's distracting. It's
Yes.
this is what people tell me are always like, "Oh, are you listening to this? And have you heard this artist? And have you heard this?" And I'm like, I'm working all day on stuff. It's not always my own music stuff, but like side gig or whatever. And at the end of the day, I don't want to do anything at all. Like I just don't. So I don't actually. I mean, I would like to listen to more music as I did when I was younger, but I just don't for that reason. I'm working all day, and then I don't want to listen to anything.
Yeah, I totally get that. If I'm listening to music, I'm often running or walking or driving.
Same.
And then like occasionally like once a month I'm in that delicious point of time where I'm like I'm just going to lie down and listen to music, but it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Maybe maybe we'll make more time for that in our lives in the future when in like 40 years when we have a break.
Yeah, Homer 85.
Something about you that most people wouldn't know that you care that you're comfortable sharing, like a secret or like a secret passion or something weird. Are you a weirdo?
Oh, definitely. Who isn't? I guess that's, I think everybody's really secretly very weird.
Yeah, I think I am. I have quirks.
Right.
You want to
I
share one of yours?
um I'm just trying to think, like I'm kind of an open book, but really love to dance like a total weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, but I feel really self-conscious when I go out dancing.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah,
yeah, like I like dancing, but I really like dancing like a weirdo. Like total like I don't know, just wild,
yeah.
unrestricted wild flailing.
I like to do leaps and spins.
Okay.
And Dale and I, one thing. So before we were married, and when I used to drink, we would have like little dance nights and things. But after we got married, like he stopped dancing. I do love to dance, but he kind of wouldn't dance. He was just very shy about it. And then during the pandemic, we would have these like short, but like little dance parties at home. And I love watching him dance because he dances like a total weirdo. I hope he's okay with me saying that. And I like to do the same thing, like just whatever. And then we'd imitate each other sometimes. And because that happens, right? When you're dancing with people, like you tend to start imitating them, especially if they're doing something that looks like fun.
Yeah, totally.
But I gotta say, it was very liberating to get back to dance and fun to have that experience with him. I highly
Yeah.
recommend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can relate to like sometimes Richie and I have spontaneous dance parties.
Mhm.
I really like a spontaneous slow dance is the best thing in my life. I love that so much.
What is a sound that you find unexpectedly soothing
Yeah,
or
unexpectedly
or
soothing.
annoying? Like or maybe do both. If you do, you have a sound that really irks you.
Um, I okay. Well, the first thing that popped into mind is the voice that people tend to give to automated services like when you do the self checkout
Hmm.
at Canadian Tire or at the grocery store, and that there's a tone of voice that really irks me. That so I don't know if that's a real sound thing, but you know what it's like. It's like thank you for using self checkout.
Right.
Oh,
It doesn't
I'm
sound.
sorry. You put that in the wrong place. Please scan it again. Oh, I don't know
Mm,
what you're trying to do. Please ask for help because I don't like you anymore. Anyway, those things
yeah.
my blood boils immediately. I wish they were more just more like a direct like a computer program like yes, no,
You fucked
error.
up. You fucked
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I don't need I hate it when it apologizes to me. I find it very patronizing.
I love it. You could pitch like a whole redesign for that.
I yes,
Same.
it would be to throw it away. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
um,
Uh,
I don't know, certain things that are like unexpectedly soothing. Like I really like the noise of things. Like a hiss, tape hiss, or noise, like the sound in the background of things. I've been recording piano lately, and I really like the sound of the like the mechanics. Like if you can hear like the
the lifting of the keys, the air
yeah
and the, or I don't know if
yeah
there's
and
air
the
in there in the synth, but
and the movement of the hammers and stuff like
mm-hmm.
that. Yeah,
I like that too. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. A piece of gear that you can't live without.
Um, like technology.
Well,
I
I guess we could open it up to the world at
I mean
large.
it's
Kitchen.
no, I was gonna say the piano in terms of an instrument, but like a piece of gear. I mean, my whole life revolves around a computer,
Yeah.
and so
That was a cool
yeah.
sound. Did you hear that when you were rubbing yourself? Not inappropriately,
I
but
was scratching my pants. Yeah,
that that's a cool I
this is
found that soothing.
it's a very sensitive microphone. Though. It's
Okay. The most cosmic experience you've had lately.
the most cosmic experience I've had lately.
Are you having fun? Is this boring?
No, these are great questions. They're just massive sometimes, even though
I
they're
know.
just like, "What's your favorite piece of gear?" And I'm like, "Oh my god,
I know. I didn't
mind."
give you these in advance either.
Cosmic experience. I've been in the Bay of Fundy a few times recently, which has been, it's always quite incredible. I went with my friend who came to visit. We went to Partridge Island here in Parsboro.
Hmm.
And we just decided to go to the bay. And there's this thing called the bubbling tides. And it's sort of caused by, I think the pressure of the tides coming in is forcing air that's trapped underneath the the shore
Yeah.
to come up, and so like the whole shoreline just sort of bubbles and roils. And so that just happened to be happening while we were there, and it was just a beautiful day. The water was icy cold, and yeah, we just swam in the bubbles, and
Oh.
yeah, sometimes and thoughts disappeared, and it was just a really present moment.
Did thoughts disappear because you were worried for your life, as I would be if I were swimming in the Bay of Fundy? I have a little bit of a fear of dark waters in general. But is it, or the cold, the extreme cold? You just have to.
I'm an extreme cold person. Like
Okay. Ooh.
about thir- maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I was going through a rough time. I maybe for the first time in my life, shifting my perspective to take on what I would call chronic depression that I'd had since I was, I don't know, if a kid, but like certainly an adolescent.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a huge shift in my life, and I changed a lot of things at that point. And one of the things that I tried a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
was cold showers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started taking cold showers, and then it was like an immediate gratifying experience. It was hard to do,
Yep.
so I felt accomplished if I had done it. But I also just felt incredible after the shower in a way that I'd never felt. I feel incredible in a warm shower,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel incredible when I turn the water off.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm
oh
with you on that.
no,
It's sad.
how
It's
why-
it fuels your depression.
it?
It's like,
Why I want that to be forever, just a warm shower forever.
no.
But the
Oh.
cold, just like it was a whole different thing. It required me to be extremely present. I had to convince myself not to panic. I had to stay present in myself to make sure that my breathing didn't get shallow. And then the longer I stayed in the cold shower, the better I would feel coming out of that. And so, yeah, since then, I have taken cold showers every day of my life. But
Dude,
I
that's
also do cold baths, like ice baths, and I swim in the ocean in the winter.
whoo. Inspiring. I also live with depression, and I have not. I should maybe try that. I've opted for escitalopram instead, but and it's great. But I've never thought of doing the cold thing because I despise being cold. Sounds
Same.
like yeah, you did too. Okay,
Same. Yeah. I used to, but I've come around to it's like a difference
appreciating.
between not if you stop resisting it
Hmm.
and you're able to relax into it and be like it's okay to be cold. I
Okay.
mean, I don't, we're talking like 1 to 5 minutes of exposure here, not like all day cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I feel sort of when I get out of the cold shower, you wouldn't think so, but I feel really warm. Something about your body, like you warm up from the inside. Like that's
Yeah.
sort of how your body deals with the cold. When you start letting it in,
Yeah.
your body sends blood all around your internal organs. So you start getting warm at your core. But
I
anyway, I
love that.
highly recommend. I tell everybody about it. Nobody
Yep.
takes me up, so I don't,
Yeah.
because everybody's like, "Okay, great."
I'm going to think more on it. I'm going to think more on it. I have been thinking about what it might just, weaning off of this low dose that I'm on of SSRI, which I
Right,
love,
right. Yeah,
but maybe there's a more natural way to to help. So you have found this has helped with you. Are there any other things that you've taken on that was it like do you think it was just something like it sounds like you live with this for your whole life or do you think part of it was like just the nature of your life and like circumstances or environmental or just being an artist and kind of always I mean
yeah,
like when your sense of security is threatened, which it often is when you're self-employed,
right.
does affect your mental health as well. But then there's also like the genetics, and there's also sometimes our brain just needs a little extra help, and
Yeah,
oh boy, it's complicated sometimes.
it is. Yeah, I think. I mean, so yeah. I mean, like I said, I've tried and try a lot of things, and it is sort of like just an ebb and flow. Like it's not always the same. I wouldn't say that cold showers cured my depression,
Mm,
but it's the one thing that I stuck with the whole time. That is like it's a constant good. Like it never doesn't work in that moment
yeah,
to feel better on the other end of a cold shower for me.
yeah,
But yeah, I think part of it, for me growing up queer, I was, a closeted gay kid. So there was something about that was traumatic up until a certain point.
yeah,
And then what I realized is that it gets pretty dark, right? Because the church tells you you're going to burn in a lake of fire for eternity. So that's not a good thing. And you internalize that.
God, it's not funny, but it's like
I
what the
know.
hell?
I know. And
Literally,
yeah, there's so a lot of dark things you internalize. And I think what I started to realize in my, 30s, I'm 44 now. So what I realized in my 30s was like, oh, like when I came out of the closet, it didn't undo all that trauma. Like if it took 20 years to build that trauma up and
hmm
to hide it and to cause that sort of internal thing, it takes it takes a long time and it's hard work to go back in and fix it.
hmm
But you have to go back in and fix it. Like no one can actually fix it for you. You can alleviate the pressures or the symptoms of holding that kind of trauma.
hmm
But until you actually go in and start healing it bit by bit. So
yeah,
I'd say I'm in a better place now because I've done a lot of that work.
yep,
But I wouldn't say I'm out of the woods, or nor will I ever be. I learn a lot about brains and the way they work, and I think I'm probably, I think I'm probably on the autism spectrum, and I think I'm probably an ADHDer.
hmm
Um,
to further add to the amazing things about you that yes.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I think one of the gifts of getting older is, I mean, we could complain about a few things, but I do feel grateful for that for being able to learn to recognize, like what you just said about the things that happen to us when we're younger, the thoughts that, society imposes on us, or we believe because that's what the people we trust and love are telling us, that they don't just go away necessarily, even though you intellectually know, well, that's a bullshit. But you can get better at, which it sounds like you have, at seeing that thought for what it is. And then you have all these other tools, and you have built this life around love and light and truth. And so you can kind of at a distance go, okay, it's all this, it's practicing going, that's bullshit. Here's the truth. And more I live the truth, the more I'm leaning more towards that. I believe more, I'm not going to let this get to me too much today. I'm able to walk away, let it go. The thought comes and goes.
Totally. Yeah. You realize you're not your
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah, Aaron, you're not going to hell.
I'm not going to hell.
No, for being gay, you're not. I mean,
It's just not. No,
in
I know.
fact, if there's a heaven, if anything, I think it's a ticket to heaven.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Get your ticket to heaven. Sign up to be gay.
Yeah. I'll be in hell.
Yeah, heterosexual hell. Oh, no.
Begging for you to just get me in. Like,
get me into
fuck.
the... Yeah, there's definitely a backdoor VIP access to heaven where you cool people can get in. I'm sure of it.
I hope so. I'll be knocking on that back door. So. Hey, do you have a favorite human, and why would they be your favorite human? You probably have a lot, but just pick one.
Yeah, I have a lot. So, I mean, obviously I've been with Richie for many years, so he's one of my top people, but the person who popped into my mind was my friend Patrick, he's my best friend.
Hi, Patrick.
I'd say. Yay, hi. We went to high school together.
Yeah.
And we just I think there's one of those brain synergy things, right? One of those people that, although we keep in touch quite often now, but we could go for, a year without speaking. And then when you pick up, it's just, the connection is so deep that you don't really need to spend a lot of time catching up. You're easily back into sort of being playful or being very deep. In my junior high time, or in my high school time with him, I remember he was the person that I could work on some of these darker things with, right? I could talk about being queer with him very early. He was one of my first friends that could know that, or, those kind of things. So,
did he understand?
Big time.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And then musically, we sort of nerd out on some of the same types of electronic music. He's like an experimental electroacoustic composer, so which is kind of on the fringes. I think I lean towards more popular forms of music, but
cool. Yeah. Will you send me some of Patrick's stuff to listen to?
I can, yeah.
Why not?
It's gorgeous.
Hi, Patrick, again. Thanks for being a really good friend to Aaron.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick.
I have a little bit of an obsession with end-of-life planning, so I just wanted to ask if you have a preferred way to die. Do you have if you could choose, how would you like to go?
I'm grateful to be alive, so, and I kind of recognize, once you start paying attention, you're like, oh, there's so many points in time where I could have died. So I realize I don't really have a say in this, but, yeah, I would hope that it would be a kind of thing that I'm able to, in the moment, make the choice to let go.
Yeah. That'd be nice, a lot more peaceful.
Yeah, to just sort of be old, and maybe there's a sickness, I don't know, but, in any case, to be able to say, okay, I'm ready. See you later.
Yeah. I'm with you. I do want to live to be 120, though.
120?
Well, there's just so much, there's a lot of things I want to do. And not just, I love to sing. I love to, but there'll be periods of my life as I get older that maybe I won't be able to sing and I have other interests. So I'd like to try just wearing different hats. And so I see it getting really old as that opportunity to just lived a kind of different life. Yeah, many
I
times.
love the thought of you. You're like 110
Hmm.
and you're like career change.
Yeah, totally. I'm gonna go get my PhD, and I mean, if I'm able-bodied, even if I'm not like if I wasn't in intense pain, but just maybe immobile, I could catch up on all the music and the audiobooks, and like I could sit and listen more because we're so the way I'm built now. I like to be doing things and making things, and I don't take a lot of time to sit and listen to new things. So that be my catch up time. That's my
Yeah.
retirement plan. Yeah.
Ah, nice. Just
Also, yeah, drugs. Like I'd like to do more experimental drugs when I'm a lot older.
why when you're older? Why not now?
I'm worried that if I do them now, it'll kill me. I I'm worried that I'll become addicted, and I've less concern if I become addicted, and I'm a senior citizen towards the end of my life, like especially if I have some kind of physical deterioration, then bring it on. I don't. If I become an addict, that's
Oh,
you know, might be kind of a blissful, cool time. I don't know, but right now, I prefer to kind of, for the most part, be sober and in control and not affected. But taking drugs now does affect my mental health, and then kind of I usually end up on the feeding into depression, and I try to avoid that.
yeah, I'm a similar person in the world. Like, yeah, I choose sobriety because it's the most successful choice for me. But
Hmm.
it's kind of interesting when I've toyed with sobriety and not sobriety in my life. Of
Hmm.
course, I played in a rock band for 12 years, so that's what that was like. So that
Yeah.
was a good 12 years of drinking. But and I never became a real, you know, drug user. Like I didn't become addicted to hard drugs. I had a healthy fear of them. I
Hmm.
watched, cocaine destroy some of my friends' lives, and I was like, well, that doesn't seem right. So, but pot was like an immediate, like, oh, I love this kind of
Hmm.
love affair. And it's really only recently in my life that I've like chosen sobriety from pot. Even
Hmm.
after I gave up alcohol, I kept pot for a while.
Hmm.
But it's kind of an interesting thing. Maybe it's like the cold showers, but when I suddenly now I feel like attached to the clarity as opposed to attached to the numbness.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it,
Sometimes I like a good numb, but my doctor once said, just make it a treat. Like, don't, because I was like, look, is this like, I don't do a whole lot of research on this stuff, but government's making it legal now. Like, what's the deal? Like, is this gonna be long term horrible? And she's like, just if you want to do it, make it a treat now and then. Like going out for ice cream
right.
or something. If you're, yeah, and you'll be fine. So that's kind of less, not moderation. Just make it a treat, which to me means like
Right.
a couple times a month, maybe,
Right.
if the circumstances are Friday night, Saturday night.
Gotcha. That feels great. I don't have that kind of sign of self control. So
Well, I had
because
to build up to this.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, there's ice cream in the freezer. I'm eating it.
Oh,
Um,
yes. No, I don't. Well, so here's my trick. Don't buy it. Same with drugs. Like, don't buy them. But someone did just give us some
oh, right.
yesterday, and I'm excited to try those as a treat. But if there is ice cream or chips in the house, like we try not to buy them
That's so smart.
because it's gonna be eaten up like very quickly, but just like in unhealthy amounts. Like
Yes.
like I do come from a family of I believe maybe I'm making exaggerating this, but of binge eaters or binge. Yeah, so it's like just don't buy this stuff. Just make
That
it a
that
habit
yeah,
to not.
that's really smart.
Well, we have talked a lot about. We've covered a lot of ground in this lightning slow round.
Yes.
It's fun. Are you okay? How you
Yeah.
feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Yeah. I love
Good.
it.
It
That
is
was
fun.
that was a wild lightning round, actually. Of yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
Tell us more about Heist.
Heist is a live art company that my husband and I founded in 2016. So my husband Richie is a theater artist, a director, actor, writer, dramaturge, and when we met, I was a professional musician, and actually he was. It was funny. He wasn't a professional musician, but he had auditioned for Canadian Idol and then made it to the top 10 of the first season. So suddenly he was like a very famous singer for a little while. So, but his true passion was theater. It always was. And I sort of tangentially, would be involved as a composer or a sound designer sometimes on some of his projects, but just sort of a supporter and, watch her from afar. And then, or maybe watch her from like right beside him.
Yep.
Um,
Right in the bed, right
yeah,
there. Yeah.
just right there. Yeah. And so when he, when I stopped touring, yeah, I got a little bit more into theater. One thing led to the next. And because I suddenly wasn't touring all the time, I was hanging around theater people. Richie had a job at the University of Lethbridge at the time.
Ah, yes, I totally forgot about your Lethbridge period.
Oh yeah, we can put a pin in that because
Okay.
that's
What?
that's sort of where the cold showers came into play.
Okay, I could. Yes. No
Um,
offense to Lethbridge, but we'll get. Maybe we'll come back to that. Maybe if we don't,
yeah,
goodbye,
future
Lethbridge.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, the theater thing just sort of like started to become more and more predominant in our lives. We moved back to Halifax, and Richie had a previous company called Angels and Heroes Theater Company, and they had done lots of great shows. But it was like, the people who had started it had sort of went their separate ways. And Richie and I were talking about sort of picking up from some of the energy we had sort of learned and accumulated in Lethbridge, where we had done dozens and dozens of shows and events. And so we thought, well, you have this old sort of not-profit that's sort of occasionally revived to do one show a year or something like that. So maybe we could take that company and sort of rebrand it, if you will, and give it a new sort of mandate and sort of like put our sort of current energy into that. And so we heisted that company. We took Angels and
Hmm.
Heroes, we took it over, and we rebranded it to this live art company that was committed to doing what we call queerly playful work. I think a big thing that for both of us is just that some version of our reality is presented to the world on stage. And so
Mhm.
we're both queer. We have different sort of experiences with that, but that is central. And then playful, well, I think we're just, yeah, I think joy making is also at the heart of this.
Mhm.
I think the experience of of feeling sort of unexpected or at least unhindered joy is a gift that we can give as artists for people.
Yeah.
So yeah, since 2016, we have created a number of original, mostly theatrical works, but they sort of like run the gamut from more musical or more multimedia based or full on just straight plays. There's drag involved. We throw parties under that name as well. We produce the Creative Nova Scotia Awards, or we don't, as a rule, but we have produced it for 5 years now. So we get into all sorts of trouble and fun with that company. And in 2017 or 18, Sylvia Bell joined our company. So we're a trio now of folks.
Nice.
And actually, and then in just the last year, Blaze Fraser sort of joined us as an admin assistant. So kind of 4 people now.
Yep. You're a quattro.
We're a quattro.
Favorite projects that stand out that you've done with Heist?
I
I'm sure
mean,
like that
there's so many. Yeah.
was there one that was like, oh my God, this was a total blast, but we also like learned a ton. I guess you're doing that with each one, but like,
Yeah.
If you could take one on the road, if you had unlimited amounts of funding resources, because a lot of the times you're creating a project that might have a short span. Like you're putting a lot into this and it might just run for a period of time. And then that's kind of retired. Am I correct? Or it's just sort of that's when it lived and that's it. And now we're on to something else.
Yeah, some things. I think the show Heist really began in a way with this show called The Princess Show, and it was the show that I created around the cold shower time. So coming back to Lethbridge, I created it in Lethbridge, and we kind of knew that we were leaving Lethbridge. We had done a lot of cabaret shows and we had created these drag alter egos. I was Princess Edward, and Richie was Abel T. Suckazone. And
Nice name.
I know. So these characters, like we performed a number of things with them, like cabaret shows, so like drag performances. And I wanted to create a show that just sort of compiled them together. I didn't really have a strong vision, but I was at a period in my life when I had sort of turned a corner with how to take on my own mental health. And so that ended up coming out in the performance. And I created this show. I was obsessed with anime at the time. I was watching these shows called Dead Man Wonderland and Attack on Titan. And I didn't grow up like watching Japanese cartoons, but I was sort of enamored with how they would just do wild things stylistically to show the emotion of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, the stakes in most of their stories are extremely, extremely high. Like it's the end of the world, or like it's going to be the collapse of a whole civilization, or something of that magnitude.
Mm-hmm.
But the real problem is always that the protagonist has a block that they won't be able to save the world unless they get through this block.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually like they have a negative self-image or they have a trauma that they haven't healed. And so I wanted to create something sort of like that, but with my drag character. And we created this show called The Princess Show, where my character is sort of like we meet my character. She's very depressed. She had lost her entire family in sort of this sort of where I should pick it up a little bit further. It's a post-apocalyptic world. Storms have sort of like destroyed Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so nothing grows in the natural world anymore. So people have sort of like sheltered in this sort of mountain range where there was fossil fuels, a lot of them. It doesn't make any sense. Trust me, it makes no sense. It's camp. And they grow all their food indoors, and sort of the world is in this sort of holding pattern of like it's not very safe to go outside if there's storms, because these strange storms have destroyed everything. And her family was destroyed. A lot of the world was destroyed, but her family was destroyed on the same night that she was performing a concert, because she was a famous performance artist.
Mm.
And she was performing a concert. Her family, the whole town that her family lived, was wiped out. And she stopped performing. She made an association between these two things. And she's extremely depressed. Anyway, her beloved, Abel T. Suckazone, ends up being kidnapped by a mysterious beast who is done with claymation. And
I love it.
and she has to go on this quest to solve this beast. It turns out, the storms were actually caused by people. She was actually causing some of the storms by her own sort of self-loathing and self-hatred. So she realized that to sort of win, to destroy this beast, she actually had to show herself love to do that. And then the beast sort of like shrank away, and she got her beloved back. That show was the one that started it all, and I still can't believe it. It's since 2016 it started,
Yeah.
and we've done it all across Canada. it still keeps coming back. I just like to imagine that I at some point am going to be a 60-year-old man performing this show. I just know it. We built that show with the idea that it would tour. It requires a bunch of costumes, but it's easy to tour that show. And so then we sort of kept moving forward with the idea that we would build shows that could tour, so that they didn't just have one life. And so we've done that show. We did a show of Richie's called New Waterford Boy, which is like sort of like a Cape Breton kitchen party. So there's a live band on stage, and Richie tells the stories of growing up queer in Cape Breton, which we sort of interweave with sort of the songs of Cape Breton. And we made several other variations of the Princess Show, like sequels. Pretty much the whole pandemic was spent, creating fantastical shows on Zoom with Princess and Abel. And out of that wildness came this idea to sort of lean into this digital creation idea. And I created this show called Frequencies, which is probably the biggest sort of like, it's the
Like very ambitious
very
mixed
ambitious.
media.
And it's sort of the most personal thing that I've ever done. Even though the Princess Show was based directly on personal
Yeah.
struggles, I was my drag alter ego in a fantastical world I could make up. And in Frequencies, it's more actually sort of verbatim, truthful show about sort of about growing up and my struggles through life. Some of my struggles of, taking on this depression. But also my family's first child. So my oldest brother died before I was born, and I didn't know much about him. And I didn't plan on being this way, but that show ended up becoming a sort of vehicle to connect with my brother, who I'd never met.
Yeah. Wow.
So that show, my brother is sort of cast as my scene partner. So
Okay.
with the audience as witness, I speak to my brother for 70 minutes, which is a trip.
And so frequencies would not exist had you not. As this is the interesting thing about our work, or I guess a body of work, for lack of it, is like this couldn't have come about had you not worked through so much in the with the previous projects. This just wouldn't have come out through you. Like you wouldn't have had the
No.
itch or the idea or the. And we haven't even mentioned yet that you were born in Prince Edward Island,
Yes.
and in Frequencies, is there a moment where you touch on your first experience with the piano, which has been a huge part of your life? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
Spoiling in case
Yeah.
Frequencies comes back and we can all go see it.
Oh, yeah. It is coming back.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. It was another
Hurrah.
show. It was
Okay.
built to tour.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember when I was 2 years old, the first time I saw the piano, and it was in I think it's a church basement.
Mm-hmm.
It was my aunt and uncle's anniversary party, and I was 2, and my parents were obviously going to this anniversary party, and there was a piano in the basement of this church, and so I remember, the view of looking up at it and seeing, just this massive row of those keys.
Yeah.
And just being totally spellbound by it. I was like, what is that? It looks so inviting. Like kids like buttons, and this thing's got 88 of
Got a
them.
lot. Yeah. They
Yeah.
make sounds when you push them. Beautiful.
Well, that was the thing, when
So,
I,
yeah.
from below, like getting into that sort of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God.
You touched it. You touched the piano.
And then like other things, right? Like, and you like,
Yeah.
I was sort of obsessed with like, this thing was magic as far as I was concerned. It literally just made real magic possible, and I couldn't leave it alone. I was super obsessed with it. that was like a big opening in my psyche. I didn't know it before then. Well, how could I guess? But then it 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 sort of started to reveal to me that I had a quick aptitude for music. I could understand it quite
Hmm.
immediately. Um, like I just understood as soon as I started to play with it. Like it wasn't long before I could hear sounds and I could play them
Hmm.
because I understood that's the sort of relationship between frequencies. I could hear the
Hmm.
distance between them. That started my life. Like I wanted to take piano lessons. My parents got me a keyboard after that, and then eventually, when I was 8 years old, they got my first piano. It was a surprise. I came home.
Oh my
It
God.
was insane. I
Did
just
you
came home and
cry?
oh
I'm gonna cry.
yeah, I was really excited to walk. I just walked in the front door, and I'm born in April, right? So April is like the month that you wish was nice, but it really isn't. It's just like
Yeah.
slushy and cold. And I remember I got off the school bus and I stepped into a big slushy puddle, and like so my boot filled with icy water, and I was just like I didn't like school either, so I was like, ugh. I was just
Yeah.
in a bad mood, and I trudged home with a wet boot. And then I walked in the front door and there was a piano in the house suddenly. It was one of the best days of my life.
Good example of like can only go up from step in a cold bottle. Like, just stick around, folks. Like, if you think it's not going to get any better, might
Uh,
as well give up now. Just stick around.
yeah,
You never know what's around the corner.
there will be a piano.
They're
What's
absolutely, yeah.
What's interesting is when I this speaks to my probable autism. When my mother told me what I wanted a piano, and I asked her if we could, get a real piano.
Yeah.
And my mother said, "Well, you just wish for it." And I took my mother literally, and
Hmm.
often would like get onto my hands and knees and pray and wish, like actively wish for it,
Hmm.
but not like I hope someday I get one. I took my mother's advice literally, and I tried in those moments to manifest it. Like I tried to create a piano so that I would just focus as hard as I could,
Yeah.
and then I would open my eyes and check to see if it had
Check it
worked.
was there. Wow.
And then I would sometimes go to other rooms to see if maybe it appeared somewhere else. Um,
I love, I really love that. But visualization has always been a big part of my life as well. Like, it started I learned how to do it in sport when I was playing sports.
right.
And the coach would take us through visualization before a show, and I used it in the summer when I was training, and then I'd come back to school and I could do things that, even though I was training all summer, but like never doing them with other people, but I could do things better than I could before because it was part
Hmm.
of my training, and I've carried that on in my life in trying to dream up what I wanted musically, like it's become a hand in hand. I'm starting to write a song, and the visuals, mind's eye is working. Is imagining how this can sound, how this could look on stage, perhaps, all kinds of things. Like every aspect of making something, I start to picture how, and it may not end up being exactly like that, but oftentimes it actually is, pretty close. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that's
really relate to that too, like about how, yeah, I think all my ideas come as visions. Like,
mm,
not as like, visions, but as, yeah, similarly, like when something starts to come, I start imagining it
mm-hmm, yeah.
and seeing it in situations.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that because I remember reading that some people don't have a mind's eye and that they just can't picture things.
I grew up
Like,
with somebody who had that. Yeah.
and I wonder, are they better off than me, or is that like a kind of a secret gift too? To just like how do you get through life? Like, I can't actually imagine that.
I wonder if it is like what other sort of parts of the consciousness are sharper if they don't have a visual.
I
And
guess,
I'm
yeah.
curious about what that means because, like, your visual field, like the visual field you see in the world and the one you see in your mind aren't
Hmm.
really all that separate. There's like a direct stimulation of your visual field through the photons that come through your eyes into your
Hmm.
optic nerves. But like you can sort of you can play with them, right? You can blend them. You can look into the real world and you can imagine something that's not really there, but you can see it in your mind's eye overlaid over what you see with your regular eyes.
Yeah, like I'm looking at my mug right now. I'm closing my eyes, and I can actually visualize that mug melting on my desk. I open my eyes, it's not melting. But it was in my mind's eye.
Yes.
I'll have to have somebody on the podcast. Now I want to find someone who doesn't have a mind's eye and then have a whole, like, pick their brain apart. What's your gift? What's your gift? You guys, like, there must be, maybe, yeah. Well, I'll get to the bottom of it, but
Do you have a mind's ear? I have
I
a mind's
suppose so,
ear.
because a mind's ear would be, are you asking me, or is that like in general? Is that
I'm
like do
asking you.
I
Yeah.
have three mind's ears. Listen, you'll never see me play piano in front of anybody, and I can't really play like but in my mind, I can hear the music, and I can, I can, I can't necessarily translate it to playing it. I could if I just took my time, but I can hear it in my head.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
probably not in as precise a way as you could, or somebody who's like classically trained or has like a perfect pitch. I don't have perfect pitch. But I definitely can hear things. Yeah, yeah, I do, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if
Do
people
you?
don't have mind's ears.
Probably. I'll find that person too. It'll
Okay,
be a
great.
whole. I'll have you on as my special guest so we can pick them apart too. We'll have no mind's eye, no mind's ear, and no. Can you do you have a scent as a mind scent? That's got to be a. Can you smell toast right now? Like it. Can you imagine what it is? The smell of toast. Let's say.
Yes. Yes.
Then there we go. We have a right now. This episode that we're going to do has got you and me co-hosting and three guests. What about a mind's touch? Oh my God, we could go on and on.
Yes. Like
It's just
I think I can sort of like, yeah. I think I have a mind's everything.
yeah. Okay,
I think so.
that's the name of the episode. Mind's everything. Who has it? Who doesn't? Listen, my mom and I just went to see Casey and Diana, which you did the sound design for. We went to see it at Neptune Theatre in Halifax. It was extremely moving for both of us. My mother lost her brother Roger to the AIDS epidemic, and I was very fond of him, except my last memory was being mad at him at Epcot Center because he made me sit on his lap as we were going through this ride, and I wanted to stand up, and he was like, no, sit down. And so I feel kind of bad because I think I was a little shit the last time we hung out at Epcot Center, but it was such a moving and funny, and I remember sitting in the front row and just getting lost in the performance, and the soundtrack was such a big part of that. And of course, I welcome you to say whatever you want about this wonderful play, but I did want you to share, if you could, a magical moment in creating the soundtrack for you, maybe something personal or a moment that really stood out for you.
I'm glad you saw that show. I think that's one of the best shows I've ever worked on. I mean, it's just fresh. It just happened. So, but it really was. There was something about the play and the people that were gathered to make it, and the sort of time it was being put on, and yeah, it landed so hard for people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I, to be honest, like, there's something about working in theater that's really gratifying for me, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't excruciatingly difficult every single time.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much when you work on a play, like, when you're working on an album, eventually there's self-imposed deadlines. But with a play, it's like, no, people are coming
Like
on April 25th. They're going to be there.
there's no shifting the dates.
No, you're done on this day. And so you have to make decisions. And that pressure gets things done and it makes things really great. But it also, at a certain point in every show I do, I assume that I have finally everybody's going to realize I have no idea what I'm doing, and that it's going to be revealed that I am completely unworthy to be, in this industry, and that I'm going to ruin this play. So Casey and
Ah,
Diana's
good,
no exception,
good old imposter syndrome.
big time. And I think most people who work in the arts feel that way at some point during a project. And so, yeah, this one, I felt that way. I had a number of things that I wanted to do for the sound of this play. For people who haven't seen it, one of the characters talks about, it centers around AIDS patients and hospice workers in the Casey House in Toronto in 1991. During the week leading up to when Princess Diana was coming to visit. So that's a real thing that happened. Princess Diana did visit the Casey House, but the characters in the play are fictional. And one of the characters, are the main character, talks about there being a sound, like that hope has a sound. And so immediately I started to think, well, that's clearly an important part of my job. I should think about that. We need to hear that. And I thought about how, like in the 90s and in the 80s, during the AIDS crisis, in Toronto, in New York, in a lot of places, there were these gay men's choruses that were truly, like, in the face of the most horrifying things you can imagine. Hundreds of thousands of people died, and they died largely with the world turning an indifferent eye.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the face of that, people losing everybody they knew to this, your uncle included, I'm sorry to hear that, was these people were getting together to sing. And it was a community choir. They weren't professionals, and they weren't doing it for money. But at a certain point, they were raising money to help fund things like the Casey House. And I thought, well, that's the sound of hope. People singing together is the sound of hope. And so I wanted to get the Halifax Gay Men's Choir, which is, for the past few years, so, it's a fairly recent thing, but it's an incredible group of, I think, 60 to 80, members.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to them and asked, I have this idea. I think I might sort of compose a short piece of music, as well as this sort of just one chord that I'd like to get the choir to sing. And they were immediately receptive to the idea. And I've never sort of worked like that as a sound designer or a composer, where I've approached a choir. So the experience of getting into a church with a choir, to tell them about the show, to tell them about my intentions, that I wanted to make it feel, because we're doing our own production here in Halifax, and so I wanted this to feel like a genuine, like the sound of hope today, not the sound of hope from 1991 in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to tie it to us, to the audience that's coming to see it here. So, just experiencing a choir, sing around a purpose that you've been, like, I've been buying into that purpose for months. I've been working on the show for a while, and then bringing them onto that board and singing something that I had sort of composed for the show. I would never forget that. It was amazing to hear
That's
that.
incredible. As you're talking about this, I'm going back to what you said earlier at the beginning of our chat, and just how, that idea of, like, growing up gay, the church telling you that that's not, you're going to go to hell if, and then here you are in this beautiful moment doing something super beautiful with a whole boatload of gay men. And I mean, did that ever come up in your mind? Like, I mean, as a bit of a confirmation, no pun intended.
Yeah.
That was a lie, that what they were telling you growing up was a lie, that this is actually the truth.
I mean, it's hitting like that now. Thank you for that gift.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
One thing you and I have in common that I wanted to pick your brain about before I let you go is that we have We've both chosen to live in rural communities. You're in Parsboro with Richie, and I'm in Port Howe with Dale. Not many people know where that is, but those are two rural communities on the opposite side of the highway in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I there was this thing that I heard a lot when we said we were going to move to the countryside or the rural community, which was, well, how are you going to work? How are you going to do? You should be in Toronto. You should be going where the action is. Um, we've found that this was perfect for our life and our way, and we've made it work. Not that it's always easy, but there are actually things that are easier about living here. And one of those is the affordability of living in a rural community, whereas we can't afford to live in a big city. But the time and space we have when we are here, is great. We do go to bigger cities, and when we go on
Hmm.
tour,
Hmm.
so yeah. Do you think the idea that like you have to go where the action is changing, or do you think it's still like deeply rooted in the arts, or what's it been like? What's it given to you to live in Parsboro?
Yeah. A lot. It has given a lot. Like you mentioned, there are certain things you get out of this that you can't get in a city. I started to be curious about living rurally years ago, and Richie and I both did. So um, there's, you can't, the sustained sort of benefits of it being dark and quiet at night, of it being, you know, also quiet during the day, of there not being a lot of sort of as much electronic noise and just general energy, the energy of traffic and of just the hustle of things and the trappings of life, like you mentioned, of being, affording life. Like, again, it goes back to my ability to have self-control. But, I love restaurants. Like my expendable income just went to like going out for coffee and having drinks with friends and going out for snacks and stuff. So,
Yeah,
whereas, I just don't have that option here, but like food is a bit of a love language for me. So preparing all of our meals every day, and the ability to just like, when you want to go out you, for a little break, like we can just go down to the ocean. So
yeah, I
that's a,
know.
it's a different, it hits different.
It is.
Um,
We'll bike down to the beach and for a
yeah.
break, and that's our exercise for the day, and go, or we'll walk when the tide's out. Which,
Yes.
when you're in the city, it's. I mean, you can. It's a longer drive to get out there, and you're like, I'm not gonna make time for that every day.
No, like you can go for a walk in your neighborhood or those kind of things, but yeah, in the
Yeah,
summer I swim every day. And so those are major major things that you can experience, but you sort of have to let go. Like, in a way, I had to let go of the feeling of needing to be seen and to be networking at a certain level.
yeah,
I think we live in a world where with the internet, you can kind of become known or revered for what you do from anywhere if you're good at documenting it.
hmm,
And yeah, I don't know that I've cracked that code, but I try to let go. Like I said, I just try to let go of this need and recognize that life isn't built on a reputation. It's built on experience of a present moment that can be filled with a lot of things that you can choose how if they have value or not. You can choose that you have value if you gain more money or reputation, or you can choose that you have value from going out and noticing how many more blueberries are blooming in your
yeah,
backyard.
yeah. Well, you can also have a lot of followers and a lot of posts and no work. Would
Yeah.
you prefer to have, a lot of screen time, or would you prefer to have made something meaningful and had a collaboration that maybe took you away from a social media presence necessarily, but you have all that work and that experience, and it's what keeps fueling you. So,
Yeah. That is it. Like, it's the
so
making of the stuff that really is. It has to be worth it on its own
yeah,
because I'm not part of the 10%, let alone the 1% for whom this is a very viable career choice. But the making of it is worth it in its own way, and especially if it lands with some people, then But I do think about, I don't know if you find this, but there are times when I think, is this sustainable to live out here? Because I do get work and none of it's here.
Yeah, the work that I get in terms of music is completely not here. It is
Yes.
not here. This is where I come to work and recharge. And that being said, I do have now, since the pandemic, a part-time online job, which I can do from anywhere. But musically, my gigs are sometimes not even in this country or the province.
Yes.
So, but I think we will, ask those questions ongoing and or maybe come to the point where we've been talking about even having rental properties in our land so that we can work even more from home and, thinking we don't have a pension. So what do we do? I'm a
Yeah.
planner and I try to think what can I do to, have that allow me to be home more so I can create from home and have the flexibility to go into the city or go,
Yeah.
and build this. If you can see it, you can maybe build it or try. But I have those thoughts every day. I just had an existential crisis yesterday again. So you're not
Right.
alone. But, luckily I have a good sounding board. I have lots of good sounding boards, but it is nice to have a partner in Dale to go, hey, I'm having these wild thoughts and just running them by you to
Yeah.
see if there's any
Yeah.
resonating or am I.
Yeah.
Remind me why we're here, like what we're doing.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I have that in Richie too. And yeah. I mean, and for both Richie and I, working in theater is interesting because you get in these, the majority of my life is in theater, right? And
yeah,
I'm making some changes now in my life because I miss music. I miss music for music's sake. So I'm sort of shifting a few projects in that direction. But theater does keep me alive, in that it gives me enough money to eat.
yeah,
So, but those are like 2 to 5 week contracts usually for a designer.
yeah.
And but usually 2 of those weeks are on site.
Hmm.
And so a lot of my life is like, yeah, to make that work is like I go to Halifax and I live there for 2 weeks. And then I come home and then I go back to Halifax and I live there for 2 weeks. Or I drive back and forth, which is 180 kilometers.
Hmm. We do it. We do it. If you're like me at all, though, I find that satisfies my mom lives in Halifax and I have friends there too that I'll go and stay for a bit and, maybe
Yeah.
have meetings or if I do a gig, obviously sleep over. But I am a city girl at heart too. I'm kind
Yeah.
of both. So it
Yeah.
satisfies that craving in me to be around. And I love the
The dream is the
accessibility.
the
Yeah.
the the apartment in the city and the
Yeah.
house in the country, right?
Should
That's the
we
dream.
all invest in one? And
It's
just
not a bad idea. Timeshare an apartment.
yeah, exactly. I sort of feel like I'm doing that with my mom right now, but she won't accept my payments for shared rent.
Well, that's nice.
But
That's really nice.
I do think that's something to consider. That was a very big dream of mine when we moved out here. Is that like how can we get to have an apartment in the city? So keep us in mind when you're looking to buy a condo.
Will do.
Now, before I ask you about our remix, is there anything that you're excited about right now that you want my Little Heartbeat listeners to know about that's coming up, like this summer or this fall, to keep an eye out for? Or are you just done with this podcast?
No, no. I mean, so yeah, Casey and Diana was the sort of the last sort of major thing. I do have some things coming down the pipe that I'm probably not ready to divulge yet because they're half baked.
That's cool.
Music, but I am working on some music projects. This piano is new for me. I just purchased this piano, and it's a big deal in my life. So some
Ooh,
of those projects, it's called a Keybird,
keyboard.
and it's a portable acoustic piano.
What?
Yeah.
Can you
So
text me a photo and video
yeah,
later? Not right now. Not right now.
yeah.
Right
This
now.
this one, right?
Oh my
This
God. Are there's that, but what's I'm seeing that the keys, but
the hammers.
I'm seeing the hammers. This is portable?
Yeah. This is it's 130 pounds. It comes apart in two pieces, and it
Okay.
fits in the back of my Toyota Venza.
Okay, this is exciting. Are you working on your music?
Hmm.
Okay, this is very exciting. Is it going to go under your name or a?
No,
Uh,
it'll go under my name. Yeah.
okay. Oh,
Yeah. So
okay.
that's a big deal.
That is a big deal. I'm excited, and I will share on my stories no matter what. Whenever you're ready.
Great. Thank
I
you.
mean,
And then, Richie's been working on a new play since 2018, and it's finally being produced, and it's a
yay!
co-production between Heist and Ship's Company Theatre right here in Parsboro and Eastern Front Theatre in Dartmouth. It's a great show. I'm doing video and sound design for that, so
Amazing.
that's a really creatively juicy, challenging technically,
Mm-hmm.
sort
Good.
of yeah, like lots of brain time, but also lots of play time.
And
So it's called
that's
Coal Bowl Queen.
cool. Say that again.
Yeah, I know. It's a great name. Coal Bowl Queen.
Coal, as in coal from Sydney, Cape Breton, kind of the coal mines.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in Richie's hometown of New
Oh,
Waterford,
New Waterford, right?
he's kind of done like this sort of trilogy of shows that sort of explore some of his life in New Waterford. And this one he's been dreaming out for a long time. There's a national high school boys basketball tournament called the Coal Bowl.
Okay.
Teams from all across Canada come in January or February, end of January, beginning of February. And it's a week long. And like it's the equivalent of the winter fair for this town. It actually replaced the winter fair, and there used to be a beauty pageant as part of it.
Ooh.
And it's still going on. It's a like you have to experience it. It's remarkable. Like the high school gym is like
Hmm.
packed with like 1,200 people for high school basketball games.
Do you go every? Are you going this year?
Well, we've gone. I mean, Richie grew up with it, and I've gone. I think probably 4 times now to the Coal Bowl. So this is a play. He did like maybe around 50 interviews with players, coaches, beauty pageant, and queens,
Hmm.
and just community members, board members, tons of people who experience and are part of the Coal Bowl. And he transcribed all those interviews and then sort of created a narrative so that there could be sort of a story that would bring the audience through and experience this sort of tournament and the spirit of it more so than the actual tournament. Like it's not really about basketball. Well, Coal Bowl Queen, you can be assured that it's kind of about
It's
the pageant.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Nice.
but it's incredible. So 50% of it is actual verbatim stories from real people, and 50% of it is sort of a narrative that Richie created.
And do we know when this will be available
Yeah,
out?
yeah, we do. It's going to be opening in mid-August, the second week of August here at Chips Company Theatre,
Great.
and then it will be playing in September at Eastern Front Theatre at Alderney Landing in Dartmouth.
Okay, great. I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, I will invite you.
Well, I'm going.
Great.
I'm gonna buy a ticket. I know you said invite, but I'm like, I want to support. I always try to. I always try to buy tickets now, but
Yeah, same actually. I'm like, I'm in my 40s. I have to be that person.
I know we. I mean, if I've spent too much on Timu, by
Yeah.
then I might hit you up. But then I feel guilty, right? Like I'm buying on Timu. Shouldn't even be buying on Timu. But anyway, Aaron, I love you, and I think it's appropriate for us to end this episode with a remix of one of my songs that you did under your artist name a while ago called Chandelier.
That's right. Yeah.
And this is a song called Take Me Back in a Dream. And I love your remix and it makes me want to dance. And that's what a remix should do, my opinion.
Yes. I
Thank you.
loved making this.
Oh,
take me back in a dream. I only want to show you, bring us back to the believe that this still matters. What I say, what I do, how I'm choosing to avoid you. Take me back in a
Welcome to the Heartbeat Hotline, 1-902-669-4769. I'm the host of A Chat with Heart podcast, Christina Martin, and I'm so excited you called. Leave me your question, a suggestion for the podcast, or a comment about this episode. Please be aware your message may be used on the podcast and social media. Tell me your name, where you're calling from, and it's also fine if you want to remain anonymous. Thanks for listening. Have a great fucking day. Hey, thanks for listening to A Chat with Heart, produced by me, Christina Martin. Co-produced and engineered by my partner in life and sound, Dale Murray. Dale's not just a wizard with knobs, he's also a killer singer-songwriter, session musician, and music producer. Go snoop around his world at dalemurray.ca. The podcast theme song, Talk About It, and I Don't Want to Say Goodbye to You were written by me and recorded by Dale. Want to support what we do? You can snag CDs, vinyl, digital music, and some weirdly delightful merch like custom puzzles and temporary tattoo packs over on my Bandcamp. If you're into keeping indie art alive or just want good karma, become a monthly or yearly member on my Patreon. It's a platform that helps creators get paid to keep making stuff we love. I swear by it. Sign up, free or paid, at patreon.com/Christina Martin. If this podcast made you laugh, cry, think, or rage text your best friend, do me a solid, share it, rate it, review it, and hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And to all my little heartbeat listeners, stay weird, stay tender, and I'll catch you next time.